How can creators like us, who are new to building online businesses, who have high value skill sets, how do we scale our monthly recurring revenue, or MRR, to get us the freedom we desire? That is the question, and this newsletter will give you the answers. Be sure to subscribe if these are the types of answers you seek. My name is Boise Gordon, and welcome to Boise Talks Business. The real episode 10, how you can scale and acquire clients without cold outreach. A discussion on the key to building an evergreen sales system. Man, that's a lot of typos. Okay, whatever. Welcome to the real episode 10. I don't want to waste any time. Last episode was a 1 hour long discussion on how I would remap my business consultancy timeline if I got a do-over. For those that don't know, I've been doing this for about, not this newsletter and this podcast and newsletter is about 10 days old so far. But prior to this, I was building my online consultancy for the last 120 something days. And along that journey, I made a lot of twists and turns, ended up going the wrong direction a couple of times. And last article was me, I guess, attempting to refocus and restructure and lean down a lot of the mistakes that I made and focus solely on just the path that I would need to take if I were to start over again. So I broke it down into 6 phases. It was a really good read. It is a little long, so if you want to, take it bit by bit, that's cool. But if you have time, I would definitely recommend you check it out. And while it was a fun thing to talk about, it was long. So to balance it out, I want to make this one impactful, but 80% shorter. So I'm going to aim for about less than 15 minutes. It ended up being a little longer than I wanted it to be, just because I wanted to cover a bunch of different topics in detail, or as much detail as I felt like you guys would need. And again, for those who might be tuning in for the first time, I write out articles on Substack and then I narrate them while adding in little bits of information and parts of my story into the narration as I speak. So today we will be talking about attracting business through content marketing. It will be a fundamental method for attracting clients in the later stages of scaling a business, but it is still a skill that can be leveraged from day one. The crazy part, if you master this, you can scale your business well beyond 7 figures without ever having to make a cold sales call or cold sales outreach. Let's dig in. Do you know the Muffin Man? Step 1, know your ICP. Everything is an ideal customer persona, or ICP. Everything. I was gonna sing the Muffin Man song, but you know the Muffin Man song. If you don't, I'm not doing it. Anyway, even this nursery rhyme, right? It's for families with children. That's the ICP of the nursery rhyme. Most nursery rhymes, that's kind of like their purpose. In fact, with this one, there was an urban legend that the song was about a serial killer who made muffins, or who was a baker. However, I couldn't find anything substantial on it, so for now, it's just a kid's song. But if this were supposed to be a warning to children and families, it would have been a viral way to do it without a cell phone. Think about it. They didn't have any technology back then when this song was created, but it lasted thousands, well, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of years into the future. And here we are with this wonderful nursery rhyme that people still sing to this day. Right? So that just goes to show how how targeting the right ICP can lead to a long-term and impactful strategy. So if you intertwine something that's this impactful, obviously you're not going to be creating nursery rhyme songs unless you're like a book author or something for children. Targeting the right ICP can make your content last forever, because as long as that type of person exists, your content will be relevant, right? But let's not get distracted. Sorry. Everything has a specific type of person that is an ideal fit for its use. I'll give some examples. An online yoga club is a great fit for a work from home mom. A show about sleighing in the snow is a great fit for husky owners. A protein bar that can replace a meal is a great fit for CEOs who work out. Right? It's not necessarily about why you should use the product. It's about more who should use the product, right? If you're talking about an online yoga club, What is yoga? Yoga is a form of exercise. It can keep people fit, flexible. And what type of demographic would probably be concerned about keeping fit, being flexible while they're working from home? Is it going to be the 25-year-old who just got out of college and is working their first job? Probably not. But it might be a work from home mom who can't necessarily get out of the house to get to a gym, who might have kids to take care of when they get home from school and might only have an hour in between their sessions, who might also want a more meaningful connection with people outside of their job. Working from home is a lonely thing. So online yoga club might be a great fit. And the other examples are kind of the same things. Husky owners might want to, take their dogs for sleds. Huskies are working dogs. Like, they're meant to work. So if they have a lot of energy and they're just sitting out, they'll get depressed. So a show about them sleighing in the snow may give like the owners some form of inspiration to, do something for their dog. I don't know. I just made these up. A protein bar that can replace a meal. Once again, CEOs are busy. They don't necessarily have the time to sacrifice like a normal person would. There are only 24 hours in a day. 8 of those are spent sleeping. If you are getting enough sleep, you should be getting enough sleep, by the way. The other 8 might be work. If you're a CEO, probably working 12 hours. If you're married, you probably have to spend time with your wife. If you have kids, that too. Right? So there might be only an hour or so in there that a CEO can actually work out. So if you can eat a protein bar while you're working and that replaces your whole lunch, well, then you can work out for lunch. And then you got, and so like there's an ideal fit for every product. If you have a product or service already, you should identify your ideal customer and target your marketing for that person. And what a lot of people find is once they develop a product, they might develop it based on an ICP, and then the ICP changes. Like they're so when you're first developing a product, you're only guessing who's going to use your product. You don't really know who. Societal changes may impact the use case for your product. So as you continue to sell it, you should definitely be doing research to figure out who is using it the most and target that demographic. Like Viagra wasn't originally a boner pill. Sorry for that, but it wasn't. It was a blood pressure medication, right? But they weren't marketing it as that now. That's probably how it started. Red Bull, I'm pretty sure it was for like truck drivers or something. Like, like a lot of these products, they were developed in one way and then marketed differently once people actually started using them in the market. And we'll talk a little bit about like how they got in the market, how they got so big. But that's just kind of like an idea. Like when you create something, you don't know who's actually going to use it, and you also don't know how they're going to use it. So it's always good to do research and figure out like the demographic who's already working with you and then target more of those people. So kind of revise your ideal customer persona. And then if you are in the planning stages, you should identify who you want your ideal customer to be. What type of person do you want to work with? What type of person do you want using your product, and why? All right. To get a more detailed ideal customer persona, I did put a template in the Substack article for people if they wanted to use it, generated by my good friend ChatGPT. This is the one I used specifically for like online consulting businesses, but you can plug and play a lot of the different demographics to get you a more tailored persona for the types of things you need. And the more detailed you get with your ideal customer persona, the better the result is going to be. So I'll run down this chart or this list to give you guys some of the key things that I feel like every or most customer personas should have. So first off is name. You have to give your customer persona a name, a fictional name, because that is going to help when you're creating your content, which we'll get a little bit later. But if you don't have a name, you can't empathize completely with the fictional character. And then age. The age of a person is going to decide a lot of their societal tendencies, who they're going to speak to, how they're going to speak, how they're going to like to be spoken to. Gender, same thing. Society impacts a lot of that stuff. Location, again, culture, are they working remotely? Is it a high remote work area? Is it a high net worth area? If they're living in San Francisco, they're probably pretty well off. It's expensive to live there. Same with Denver, same with New York. You know, if they're living in the middle of Timbuktu, they probably have a lot of land, probably don't have a car, or if they do, they barely use it. Or wait, no, they have a car, and if they do, they use it a lot just to go to grocery shopping. So like if you're selling like Postmates and you're voluntarily, or like a Postmates type service, and you're going to voluntarily go to the grocery store for people in that market, like that'd be a good idea, right? So like knowing these little things can definitely help with tailoring your service and product. And then industry, what type of industry do they work in? What is their occupation or role? What is the size of the company that these people or this person would probably work in? What are some professional goals? If you're, obviously going to be helping them with their career or achieve their dreams, you'd want to know that type of stuff, or guesstimate what it already is, their education level as well. And the list goes on. I'm probably not going to read all of these. If you do want to check it out, just go to boisetalks.com. Sorry, you do have to type in www.boisetalks.com. We can go down. If you're doing business consulting, you want to know their business goals. That's like, what is their business goal? What is their end game? Like right now, my ideal customer persona is someone who wants to scale their business, grow their business, get it to a point of self-sufficiency where they don't have to be the one running it. Unlock their freedom. That's literally the opening of this entire podcast. And then digital strategy challenges. So what are they struggling with that is preventing them from achieving their goals, right? And that can be content that I write about. Probably struggling with copywriting, probably struggling with focus, probably struggling with their offer, probably struggling with deliverables, probably struggling with scaling their operation, hiring, freelancing, online web development, lead magnet generation, like that type of stuff. So like that's the type of stuff I'm going to offer. That's the type of stuff I'm going to write my content about, is their challenges, their goals, because everything I do is going to be aligned with this persona. And then the next section, talk to this one person. Step 2 is going to be make content for your ICP. When I say this, I don't mean make content for someone who fits the description of your ICP. Like if you have a follower or something and they're just like, oh yeah, they feel like 3 out of 10 or like 7 out of 10. I mean make content for this imaginary person, for the ICP, as if they are a follower of yours. Your ICP needs to become a real person in your head. It could be your best friend, could be your favorite client, whatever works to make it work in your head. You need to empathize with this person. Even now, when I'm speaking to the mic, I'm talking to my ICP. It may sound like I'm talking directly to you, and that might be because you're a good fit for what I'm trying to accomplish, but I'm talking to my ICP. I'm not thinking about you specifically. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the power of having an ICP, is you can get really personal. You can get really intense. You can hone in on the specific problem. You can talk about it like it's with a friend. It's a conversation, right? So if you need to read the attributes of this person before you write or before you make your content, do it so that the conversation that you're engaging in with your content is empathetic. Think about everything you do with an empathetic lens to this person. What emotion would they feel from your content? What problem are they likely dealing with? How would they want to be spoken to? If your ICP is someone with self-esteem issues, well, you probably don't want to make content telling them that they aren't good or that their stuff isn't that great. You probably want to make more sensitive content to their problem, right? You want to have a conversation. You want to attack the problem. This problem is stupid. Depression is stupid. Not you shouldn't be depressed. Like, that doesn't help anybody. The goal is to get people to listen to what you have to say, right? So the way you do that is get your ICP to listen to what you have to say, or at least try to get them to listen to what you have to say, and your content will come out way better. So ask yourself all the reflective questions that are necessary to understand your ICP. The deeper you identify with this persona, the more impactful your content will be, and voila, you have mastered content marketing. Kinda. You should still learn or start to learn copywriting, it'll be a better way to articulate your messages, even if, you are familiar with copywriting. It's always good to like continue with it. But even without copywriting, you can still attract ideal clients by leveraging your ICP. So like your content may not be good. It may not be all that articulate, but as long as like the empathy and the attempt and the intention is there, the right person will read it. And it may not be as effective as someone who's doing the same thing as you, but leveraging their copywriting skills, but it will be effective enough to garner some eyes on your work. And eyes are what you're looking for. You want people to see your stuff. You want people to feel a certain type of way when they see it. You want people to engage with it and be interested in you. All right. And here's some bonus advice. It's not really bonus, but I did promise it to Heather. She's part of the mastermind group, coaching group that I'm in. And I made a comment on Twitter about early adopters, radical early adopters, in response to something she said. I'm pretty sure it was a little bit while ago, but I promised her I would write something about it. So I figured I'd add it here because it can actually boost some of the effectiveness of these strategies. So bonus advice, you need early adopters. The more radical they are, the better. What are early adopters? That's what like most people probably want to know. I'm assuming that my audience is kind of a mix between like someone who's good at what they do, but doesn't have entrepreneurial skills, and someone who's an entrepreneur, but appreciates a perspective on something they're familiar with. So, I don't ever presume that people know what I'm talking about whenever I'm stating new concepts and stuff. I do like to explain things. And hopefully like the people that already know this can be a little patient as I work to develop my voice and, better articulate things to my ICP. Now, what are early adopters? Well, when it comes to a population of people who use a service or are a part of an industry, that is your market, right? There's a divide in thought process and risk tolerance, right? This results in a bell curve with sections to identify the behavioral tendencies of that portion of your market. This is also called an adoption curve. It is how quickly a subset of people will be attracted or adopt your service once their needs are met. Right. And so like the beginning portions, it's a bell curve. So like it's symmetrical. There's a picture of it in the actual Substack article, but it's symmetrical and it starts skinny, gets big in the middle, skinny at the end. If you've seen a bell curve, you know what I'm talking about. And the first section is innovators. Innovators make up only 2.5% of a market's population. They only need vision. Innovators, you're probably an innovator. If you are starting a business and you are trying to, you're an innovator. You're part of the 2.5% of people that don't need more than a vision to put in work and to adopt an idea. All right. Selling to innovators can be good if your tool or your service is for the assistance of innovators. But you're not going to want to target them specifically because they only make up 2.5% of the market. You do want a little bit more of a sample size for your offer. The next step is going to be early adopters. They make up 13.5%. And I'll explain who they are later because this is primarily who I want to talk about anyway. But after early adopters, after that 13.5%, is early majority. And that's 34% of the total bell curve's surface area. And they need promise. They need a guarantee that what you're offering is going to give them what they want. Right? Now, that portion is actually where scaling is going to come from. It's going to come from the transition from early adopter to early majority. You don't scale by targeting early majority, but you do scale by adjusting your strategy for early majority. And that makes up, a quarter or a little over a quarter of the total market share, right? So like you will never really have to leave early majority once you've gotten your stuff off of the ground and it's scaling properly. And then after early majority is late majority. That makes up another 34%. They're actually symmetrical. Early and late majorities late majorities need proof. They need to know that what you're doing already works and that it's already worked for multiple people. They're less risk averse. They prefer to move with the status quo. And once it's a societal norm, at least within the market, to use your service, that is when they will jump on board. And then laggards make up the last 16%. We don't really care about laggards. We don't really care about late majority, to be honest. But, if you're going to scale like super big, that's when you would actually go after like late majority. But laggards, we don't care about them. But laggards need domination. They need what you're offering to be so much more superior than whatever else is available that they would be stupid to continue using what they're already using. And essentially it requires kind of a monopoly, right? Like when Amazon first became Amazon, they were a book company. Obviously they've changed and restructured and now they sell like all the their online marketplace for everything you need, right? There were a lot of people who didn't use Amazon. But Amazon kept going and kept going. The early adopters were already on there. The early majority was already on there, and everybody was talking about it, and so it became a societal thing. There were still people that prefer to just use FedEx delivery or like go to the store and get their stuff, or and then Amazon came out with like, I want to say that's when they came out with like the 1 day, 2 day shipping or whatever, and like discounts, and like they were trying to target everyone else because they wanted complete control of the market share. So once you can target laggards, that is when you have a monopoly, because they need to be pretty much like taken by force and told to use this service. Kind of like the internet. Like if you don't use the internet now, you're not human. And that's essentially, what a laggard's going to require is like, if I have to use this, okay, but I'm not doing anything differently. Now, of all the categories a new business should go after, an early adopter is the most viable. Once again, an early adopter makes up 13.5% of the earlier parts of the market. And all an early adopter needs is trust. They just need trust, or they need to trust you, I should say. And once you have that trust, they're fairly loyal, and they're very forgiving. So you build the trust through your content. You build the trust through, your first customer, second customer, just showing them that you are who you say you are. You build the trust by building a community, building a relationship, and that is how you'll get customers. That is going to be pretty much all you need to target for the first 2 years of business. If you're not scaling past 7 figures, if you're not in the 8-figure club, you don't really have to go after anyone else. There's enough early adopters to make your life awesome. And then once you get enough early adopters, the early majority comes along for the ride. But you never want to go and then target the early majority. That's like, you're going to deflate your business. Your business has to be exciting. And if you go after the early majority, you're essentially saying, I'm just going to be basic. And that's not, who wants a basic business, right? Now, there is one sliver of that market, of that early adopter market, that I like to target the most. I call them radical early adopters. It's really just a combination of innovators and early adopters. They're both, right? They have all the same needs as an early adopter, so they do need the trust. They do need to feel a connection between your product, and what their needs are. But they come standard with more passion. They want to see you win because they like you and believe in you. Like I said, like innovators need a vision. Early adopters need trust. Innovators don't really need that much of a push, because if your vision is aligned with theirs, they're more often than not going to like you and say like, yeah, man, let's do it. Like, there are only 2.5% of them. So you're shooting yourself in the foot if you target them specifically, because the market is so small. But if you try to combine both and you focus on building a vision and building trust, starting a movement, you'll definitely have some success there, because you're gonna have lifelong fans. Right? If you can help a radical early adopter, they will broadcast your message across every channel they have at their disposal. They're the ones who will become lifetime fans of your offer and your future offers. So if you make another business, if I were to make another business in a similar industry, I would target radical early adopters, or the ones from the past, right? When I ported over my email list, and this is just an example, when I ported over my email list from Medium and Gumroad and like the other Substack newsletter that I had, that was radical early adopters. They had been with me since the beginning of my journey-ish, right? And a lot of them were very supportive of me as a person. It had nothing to do with what I was offering. And, if they can see a use case for the service that I'm offering, they're going to support me again. And I am who I am. So if they like me, they'll like whatever I'm selling, because I'm going to sell it in a way only I can sell it. Now, it's not easy to target radical early adopters, but it is definitely worth the trouble. Once again, you just got to be passionate. You just got to have a vision. And you just got to build trust. And if you can do that in your content, they will come to you, because they are actively searching for that connection, because there's not that many of them. They're looking for a community, right? So like, if you can provide that, then you'll have a lot easier of a time with your future stuff as well. So you're not just investing in your current business when you target them, or get their attention. I should say, stop saying target. When you get their attention, you're not just helping your current business, you're helping your future one as well. So that is all. Thanks for listening or reading, whichever one you chose. If you're doing both, kudos to you. I like reading and listening at the same time. It definitely helps with retention. I recommend that you guys get audiobooks and the physical copies and a highlighter. It's a 3-for-1. You'll learn the book a lot faster, one read through, and you'll have all the lessons you need. Then you can go back and reread the highlighted portions to get an idea of what you wanted to recall from the book, because you only highlight the best parts. Oh, and P.S. if you want to work with me to scale your business, your online business, and specifically, I can scale both, but I prefer online. It's my niche. Send me an email at hello@boisegordon.com, and I'll get on a free strategy call with you. If you're starting from scratch, I can scale your presence. If you're starting from experience, I can scale your profits. Now, I will say that this month and next month, I'm only working with 2 people to scale their businesses, whether it be a startup or something pre-existing. So I don't want to overload myself, and I also want to be able to provide the best quality for the clients that I have. So I'll kind of be writing my SOPs and building my systems and stuff. So if you want to be one of those 2, definitely send me an email. Or if you're interested in just exploring what the possibilities could look like for us to work together, send the email. There's already 1 slot taken, so really there's only 1 more slot left for this month / next month. We're kind of ending this month, so I'll just probably carry over the 1 slot to next. And then once that's up, it's just a matter of waiting for the next sessions to be opened. And then if you want to work with me, then that's fine too. So once again, this has been a wonderful little chat. Sorry it went a little long, but I got really into this last bonus part. I feel like it's super important to understand what parts of the market you're going to target. Super important to understand your ICP, and you might want to cross-reference your ICP to the part of the market that you're targeting, and make sure that you're actually targeting an early adopter with your ICP. Cool. Well, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for reading, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.